Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up, fellas?
Hello, Mo.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Well,
Amazing.
Very well.
very well.
Oh, good.
Mr. Cetrone, thank you. Thank you so much. It's
Oh, you're welcome.
beautiful, beautiful having you with us.
Oh, sure.
It's
It's my
amazing.
pleasure.
Well, I am Davide.
I am Francesco.
And I'm Massimiliano, Max.
Great. Nice to meet you guys.
It's really, really awesome to have a chat with you
Yeah.
about
It's really-
all this beautiful stuff that you've done in your career. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you. So we are three guys, Italian guys. I am a screenwriter.
Okay.
Okay. Fra?
And I am an editor.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm studying to be a teacher. I'd love that, and so yeah. This
Very
is
cool. So you guys are all in Italy right now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we live in
Yeah.
Italy.
What part?
In Piedmont, and Francesco is in near Milano,
Near
in
Milan,
Lombardia,
Oh, okay. All
like
right.
northwest.
Nice. You guys are paisans then. I'm Italian.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real.
That's a question that we might have for you later. So
Okay.
it's a bit of a spoiler.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Let's go. Okay, first question. Mr. Cetrone, why did you decide to become a stuntman?
Well, you know, I've always enjoyed physical activity since I was a kid. I played American football. I played hockey. I boxed. So I like the physicality of it. And it's something that I'm a martial artist. So it's something that you can use your martial arts for it with a very creative aspect to it. So, you know, going into film, you know, usually if you're a martial artist, you can compete or you can teach, basically, right? But with films, it gives you a chance to express your art through more of a creative type situation where you can, I mean, there's a lot you can do with it, you know, and it just seemed like a really exciting way to make a living, and it can be very challenging. And it's just something I thought that I would enjoy, and I have. I've been doing it almost 30 years now, and I've really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And a strange question. Many people say that a stuntman don't need to act. What do you think about this?
I think that's a mistake. If you're, especially if you're a stunt performer, I think learning how to act, it enhances your craft greatly. Because there's many times when we're doing stunts, we're also acting as well. Because, you know, you have to do it in a way that's believable for the story.
Yeah.
You know, for instance, like when I moved to California and I got on this path, I took about 6 years of acting classes at a couple different academies in Los Angeles. So I just always felt that, you know, number one, it's going to help my performance no matter what I'm doing. And number two, it's going to make me more versatile. You know, and if you're more versatile as a stunt performer, you get more work, right? So I just think any aspiring stunt performer, I think they'd be making a big mistake if they don't consider acting classes. And it takes you out of your comfort zone, you know, because a lot of stunt performers, we're very good at being physical, but we're not very good at being emotional necessarily. Yeah. You know, so it takes you out of your comfort zone, and I think it just makes you a better performer.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that you really showed a hidden side, perhaps, of your range and your you know, ability with your last role with Zeus in Army of the Dead. You were amazing. You were such complex antagonist of a story. It was incredible, and
Thank you.
I hope that maybe in the future we can get you. I know that your character is sadly passed away twice in the movie, but I hope that maybe we can get to see you again. But I wanted to ask you something about Zeus. There has been an ongoing, let's say, fan theory that maybe Zack chimed in a bit about some kind of time loop and some kind of, you know, how the story in a way repeats itself. Do you have any comments about that? Was it something that maybe when you were shooting the movie came up as well?
You know, I actually didn't know anything about the time loop until I saw the movie. And then I heard Zack talk about it. Because like whenever I'm doing some type of acting for Zack, we always sit down before the movie starts and we discuss, you know, the character and what he expects from the character. And, you know, we get a backstory. So I ask him a lot of questions. And that didn't even come up in the meeting. So either it was something that he's holding back and he just felt like it wasn't really part of my character. I didn't necessarily need to know it, you know, or, you know, it's maybe not important. It was just maybe a little thing thrown into the movie to make people think, you know, possible explanations. I really don't know. I think maybe only Zack knows where he's going to go with the time loop.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll see as well. But so, since Zack told you many things about your character, may I ask you one more thing about you, the Zeus character and Vanderho? There's a scene where they start this fight with this kind of, you know, deep personal fight. It seems really personal. Is there any chance they had some history before, something that you can?
Yeah, they do have a history. There was a scene shot. It was actually the biggest fight I did in the movie, where I basically wipe out his entire team of guys, and it comes down to me and him in a face-off. And it unfortunately didn't make the movie. It just was one of those things where it just, you know, it just wasn't right for where it needed to sit in the timeline of the movie. It just wasn't right, and it just was, the decision was made not to use it. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see it somewhere in a sequel somewhere. It could, like as a flashback. I think that's possible. But they definitely have a history together. And Zeus has a respect for Vanderho. You know, I don't want to give away too much because Zack's going to continue the story. He did an animated prequel that's going to be released in 6 episodes. And then I believe they're going to do a sequel. So I can't say too much, but there is, before you see that final fight, there's a history between them. And you can tell by the Vanderho's body language, you know, that this is something he knew was coming, right?
Yeah.
He knew eventually it was going to happen. So there's definitely, you're right. It was very perceptive. There's a history.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
But for your performance, for preparing yourself to Zeus, have you seen many movies for your inspiration, give you, you know, have you seen many zombie movie for create Zeus?
I'm sorry, it was the audio is breaking up a little bit. Did you say what was my inspiration for Zeus?
Yes, if you have seen many movies for inspire you, for create Zeus.
I see. I don't know if I can point to any one inspiration from any movie I've ever seen. You know, I just remember, you know, Zack telling me that in order for this movie to be successful, people are going to have to empathize with Zeus. You know, they're going to have to feel something for him. So I kept that in my mind throughout shooting. Like I always had that in my mind, that, and I look at the character as he has some humanity left in him. There's a small bit left in him, and it comes out every now and then, right, in different circumstances. So I wanted to make sure that came across to the audience, you know, that they understood that. And I think mostly, it was mostly really what I got from Zack's meeting, and then putting the character together, as just researching the character myself and just thinking it out and just doing like little rehearsals myself. I had one acting teacher who said, before you put on a scene in this class, I want 20 hours of rehearsal, right? Because when you rehearse something, you can do it for about a few hours, and then you might think, oh, I did everything that I possibly could. I got all my choices, everything looks good. But if you keep going, you break through, right? You break through to more stuff. You get more stuff. You just keep going. And that's kind of what I did to prepare for the character. I can't say that there was any one major influence in the character. I just took the notes that Zack gave me, and I just felt it out, like how I thought the character, his behavior should be and how he should be.
Okay, thank you.
And one day you will do a total act character, because Army of the Dead is a great taste of your acting
skills. Yeah.
Skills. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's certainly a possibility.
Very good.
I saw that behind you have a beautiful Batman statue. So yeah. I feel like we have to ask. Oh, two Batman statues.
Yeah, one's the armored.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you something about the experience with these, suits, with these makeups, costumes. Which was the most, let's say, problematic in a way, more complex and difficult scenes to shoot? With which costumes? I saw that you did Iron Man, you did Batman, you did Zeus, you did so many. You were a Man of Steel. Which ones were the most difficult costumes to have while shooting these scenes?
That would be from a movie called Cabin in the Woods. So in Cabin in the Woods, I played the werewolf. Okay, because I did a lot of werewolf stuff in the Underworld movies. I did 3 Underworld movies, so I had a lot of experience doing werewolf stuff. The werewolf costume was really cool. It was, in some ways, it was very easy to perform in because it was lightweight and you could move really well. It's a really cool costume. But in another way, it was difficult because the way the head is built, I'm looking down at my feet. So I can't see anything in front of me. I can only see what's at my feet. So if they want me to bite someone, I have to see where their feet are, and then I have to judge from their height. I have to judge where their throat is or whatever I'm biting. So that was kind of tough to navigate through that one. And the other one was the merman costume in Cabin in the Woods. I was also the merman in that, right? And that suit was pretty uncomfortable. It was very, very tight. I was in it for about 10 hours. There's no getting out of it to go to the bathroom. I mean, once you're in that thing, you're in it, and you could lay down on your stomach or you can lay down on either side, but you can't lay on your back and you can't stand up. And you might think, oh, well, that's easy. You're just laying down for 10 hours. But trust me, when you're laying down that long, all you want to do is stand up. Unless you're asleep, you don't know. But if you're conscious and you're laying down, after a while, it gets like, wow, I just want to stand up and stretch my legs a little bit, So I think those two were 2 of the toughest that I've ever performed in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And, I've literally spent, oh, wow. In suits like that, because like the bat suit's a big rubber suit. It's a big latex rubber suit, So I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in those suits. So I know exactly what to expect when I get in it. I know what my limitations are going to be. I know what it's going to feel like. It was probably an advantage to have all those hours, I would say, whenever I would jump into something like that, because I know exactly what to expect.
There was this story between Ben Affleck and Christian Bale about how Bale told Affleck to add a zipper on the suit. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I can understand that it can be quite problematic at times.
Yeah. Yeah, that was obviously a suggestion from experience, right? So because they probably, I'm sure in his first suit, they probably had no zipper, you know, because you know, the costume designers, they're trying to balance between what looks really good, right, and functionality. So that's where you have to, that's where as an experienced person in suits, you have to know what you need going in. You know, and I don't think Christian Bale probably ever did anything like that before. So he probably didn't even think about that, you know. Yeah. But, you know, that's kind of the dance you have to play with the costume people, that, you know, they give a little and you give a little. You know, they want it to look as good as possible, but you also have to function and perform in it as well. So there's a little bit of a give and take there.
Yeah.
Well, now, what was the most dangerous stunt that you ever did? The most dangerous?
Probably I did a stunt for Lethal Weapon, the TV series. I think it was the last episode ever in the entire series. I played this character called El Tranquilo, and I got kicked out of a glass window about 100 feet up on and I was on a descender, you know, a thin wire line to my chest. I would say probably that would probably be the most dangerous, because when you're dealing with glass and a wire, you know, it's always a little, you know, it's always a little risky. But the team I had was amazing. They're fantastic riggers and fantastic stunt coordinators. So you know, they kept me very safe. But I'd say that was probably it. You know, riding around on the Joker's car in Suicide Squad, that was another one, because I had a lot of faith in that driver, because I was literally attached to the car through wires. So there's no way I could fall off the car. But if he hit a bend too sharp when he rolls the car, you know, that's it. You're done, you know. So that was probably pretty dangerous. I've done full fire burns where my whole body is on fire. These days those are pretty safe though. I guess those three are really would come to mind immediately.
And my first contact with the stuntman world was with a movie, Grindhouse, with the stuntman Mike, a movie based. I don't know if you watch it, Quentin Tarantino movie, Grindhouse. That,
you know, I've never. Is Kurt Russell in that?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? I've been meaning to see that one day. I just never have.
And yeah, I want to say, who is your stuntman hero?
My stuntman what? Hero?
Hero, yeah. Stuntman
Jackie
hero.
Chan.
Probably Jeff Amata. I don't know if you guys know of Jeff Amata. Jeff Amata, he's the first martial artist from my instructor's school, besides my instructor. But he's the first student he had that really paved the way through stunts. And he's kind of paved that way for the rest of us. And now I'll bet there's probably 50 people from my school, you know, that have probably gone on to stunts. So he was like the leader. And I really looked up to him watching his movies he was in. He's been in a lot of movies. Do you guys remember Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah.
That movie?
Yeah.
He was the guy, he was all throughout that movie, but he was the guy that when they go to the airport to pick up the girl with green eyes, remember?
Yeah.
And that gang goes to kidnap her.
Yeah.
He's the guy, he has a telescopic baton, right? And a balisong knife. And he's the one who does that combination where it's real fancy looking, right? Beautiful. I saw that in the theater and I was like amazed, you know, when I was younger. I had to learn that. I had to know how to do that, you know. So I would say that he would probably be my my stunt hero. And I just worked with him last year on a movie, on a Dave Leitch movie that's going to be coming out with Brad Pitt and a real big cast. But just work with him on that. And he would be the guy who would be like my stunt hero.
Thank you.
Sure.
Speaking of stuntmen and stunt heroes, there's a discussion on the internet about the necessity for the Oscars to add a stuntman award.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on that? And is there any way the internet can help make it so, if it's possible? Because you deserve as much as all the other awards a spot at the Oscars, at the Academy Award.
Oh, thank you. I would say yes. I agree with that. I think stunt performers should have a category in the Oscar, stunt coordinators. I mean, if you look at movie making, we're the only major aspect of movie making that isn't represented.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that needs to change. And I don't know exactly the best way for that to happen. Certainly pressure from the fans won't hurt, but I have a feeling it's going to take some major celebrities to really push it. Yeah. You know, I think that's what it's going to have to take, because, you know, believe it or not, the studios, they still really want you to believe that actors do their stunts. I mean, kind of funny, because, you know, most people in the world know that there's stunt performers that do, you know, the more dangerous stuff, you know. So it's very rare that you have a situation like Tom Cruise, who will do, you know, all the stuff with heights. Like he's at top of these buildings in Dubai, and he's hanging from a wire, and he's hanging from the side of an airplane. You know, that's him doing that, you know, but he's a very rare case, you know. So, I mean, most of the time, you know, there are stunt performers doing these dangerous things. And you look at like films that have been nominated for Academy Awards. Look at Fury Road, right? Who was nominated for picture. Now you take the stunts out of that movie, you don't have nothing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think it's long overdue that we need to be represented, you know, in the Oscars for sure. And I don't know, like I said, the fans, you know, behind us, I know everyone appreciates that, and that can certainly help, but I think it's going to take some big names to really push it. And I think that's probably the way it'll get done.
Oh yeah. Yes, because I love watching the movie and the behind the scenes, only for watch the stunt. Your work is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
In Italy, we said you have two balls. Really. I'm talking about martial arts. Is this true? You have a study with Danilo Santo?
Yeah, Danilo Santo is my instructor. I started studying with him in 1987, I think it is. And he's, I mean, I owe like everything to him. I mean, everything that I've accomplished in film, I owe to him. You know, I can't imagine what it would have been like to have tried to have a career in stunts without learning from him. He has so much information and so much knowledge of the martial arts, because he loves to be a student. You know, he would much rather be looked at as a student than as somebody that is like considered a master, because he's a very humble man, and he just loves to learn. You know, I mean, he started learning jiu-jitsu with the Machados. I think he was in his 60s, if I'm not mistaken. You know, and he, of course, he's a black belt now, because once he commits to something, he just, you know, he really goes for it, you know. And he's just a very amazing person. Like, he's an amazing martial artist, but I have so much respect for him as a martial artist, but even more as the man that he is, because he's an amazing man. And I've just been very fortunate to train under him. Very lucky.
Thank you. Yeah.
And let's talk about the relationship between an actor and a stunt double. Create some types of relationship, like I don't know, Mr. Ben Affleck that you stunt and double a lot of time. There is some kind of
yeah, it's I think a relationship between an actor and a stunt double, you know, a lot of times the stunt double will train the actor, you know, that he's doubling, not all the time, but, you know, sometimes he will. And then, you know, I think it's really important to know what the actor, his feelings on what's going to happen, you know, with the character, as far as like how, like, is it important for him that you move a certain way? Is it important for him? Do I need to study him? You know, which is what I do anyhow. But you know, I want to know their feelings on it as well. Like, does he want to see something particular in the fight? Does he, you know, what is his feelings about the character? Because it is his character in the end. You know, it's my job to make his character look as good as possible with the action. You know, but it is his character. So, you know, like with Ben has been really, you know, so easy to work with, because he's kind of like, well, that's your thing. You know, that's what you do, you know, that's your thing. So go do it, you know? So Ben has been, you know, just a real joy. I would say, you know, probably not every actor is like that. Some actors really want to do like their own action. You know, they want to do the fights, and some of them are able to do fights, and some of them just really don't have a knack for it. You know, I mean, it's kind of what we do. So we don't expect to be doing their lines, right? That's what they do. That's the thing, right? So, you know, so I really have a lot of respect for Ben, that he has a lot of faith in me and a lot of trust in me, and he kind of leaves it up to me, you know, for the action. But certainly, if he would ever have anything, you know, notes for me or anything like that, I would certainly use them, because, like I said, it is his character. But, you know, every now and then you get a lot of time with an actor. Like, I worked on a movie called 300, and I doubled Astanos, the young kid, you know, gets his head chopped off, right? I hope it's not a spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen 300. But, and I'll tell you, we trained those actors for months. And honestly, they did most of their own fights. I mean, we did very few. You know, you don't always have that much time, you know, with a bigger show, you know, a lot of times you do, but not always. So, you know, and they all took to the choreography really well. So sometimes you're able to do that, you know, sometimes you're able to, you know, have something like that happen. And in another one, in The Accountant, I worked with Ben. Ben, you know, of course, I shot a lot of those fights, but a lot of those fights are Ben. Some of it you can see from behind, you can tell it's me. But I would say most of those fights in that movie are actually Ben, you know, because I'm not wearing a mask and the director wants to see his face, right? So it worked out really well. He did a great job with it. And, you know, it turned out really cool. So I was really happy.
Thanks.
Sure.
Well, considering your, you know, work relationship with Mr. Affleck, were there any discussions, maybe early discussions, about any involvement in his Batman movie when he was going to star and direct in it? Since he was also having to work on behind the camera as well, maybe he would have relied on you more heavily than in other movies.
Yeah, I would say that's probably pretty accurate. We did discuss it. I was going to double him in it. I remember us talking. He was asking me, who do you think would be a good coordinator to use for it? Yeah, it looked really good. I mean, I thought that movie was going to go. I got contacted to do the last two Avengers movie, Endgame, and then the fourth one, I can't remember what its name is. I got contacted to do that because I doubled Vision in Civil War. So I got contacted to do those movies. I said, no, I got to be available for Ben. So it looked like it was going to go. I was really excited about it. And honestly, I think I didn't read the script, but I heard a lot about the script. And I think it would have been a really great movie, you know, because Ben's a great director, and, you know, Deathstroke was going to be in it, right? So I just think it's a shame that it never happened, you know. I think it'd be really cool. I know there's certain people that are still trying to see it, if it could happen. You know, I just don't know if honestly if Ben would want to do it at this point. I don't know, and I don't know if Warner Brothers would want to do it. You know, but yeah, it's a shame that one never happened. I think that one would end up being a really good movie.
Yeah, we keep on holding hope for the Resurface Snyderverse, the Ben Affleck's Batman. It's all a hope we keep holding on. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Hope never die.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Zack's Justice League taught us that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, unprecedented.
Yeah. And talking about Zack Snyder Justice League, how did you react? Your reaction to the release of the movie? You are Steppenwolf, no? The body and Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, I was ecstatic. I mean, I was so happy for Zack, you know, because this was, you know, we just, you know, a lot of us from his kind of film family, you know, all of us actually from his film family, we just thought that it was just everything that happened to him was really unfair. He didn't deserve that. You know, so when it finally was released, and especially after we saw how big of a hit it was, I mean, just so happy for him. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, and the fans got to see something, you know, performances that they almost never saw. You know, like look at Ray Fisher's performance.
Yeah.
You know, that's fantastic. You know, that's a career-changing performance.
Yeah.
You know, and we almost never saw it. We almost never saw it. You know, and you know, even like Steppenwolf's character, you know, Steppenwolf, you understand him so much better now. Like, you know, like nobody knew, like, why is he attacking the Earth? Why is he trying to transform the Earth? What is this all like? Why is he like? What's he have against the Earth? Well, now we know. Now we his backstory was so much more in depth, and the character was just cooler. You know, Zack's version of his armor is just so much cooler. You know, it's just.
He's heavy metal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just really cool, you know. And just so I think my reaction, I can sum it up as I was just really, really happy for Zack. You know, I was very, very happy.
Yeah.
Let's keep on this track of a question.
Okay.
You shot some stunt on a movie called Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think about the haircut? And if you know there is extra scene, something that there is no seeing the light of the public. Let's say like this.
So I'm sorry, your first question was, what do I think about what?
The haircut.
The what?
David Ayer cut.
Oh, David Ayer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, I worked on that movie. I think I worked on that movie about 4 weeks. So I was back and forth because I was working on another movie at the time. So I never really got a good feel for everything that was in the movie.
Yeah.
As far as like, I know stuff cut out that I did there was more I did on top of the car, right? There was more action I had.
Purple Lamborghini with Joker.
Yeah. Yeah, there's more of that. You know, like I'm sawing through the car with a power tool, you know, and the Joker's, it was the Joker or Harley Quinn. I think Harley Quinn's trying to shoot me, or either the Joker or Harley Quinn was trying to shoot me and I'm dodging. And so there was a little more to that. But I don't have a good feel for, because I didn't work the whole movie. I don't have a good feel for like some really cool scenes that they shot that didn't make it. But I'm certainly in favor of the air cut for sure. I mean, I think, you know, I think it's a really cool thing now that, you know, that this is a possibility, that the studios are considering this now, coming out with a larger cut, because they when they look at movies and they're editing them, they're always looking at a time, you know, the time of the movie. You know, it's not, so they're trying to balance between the time of the movie and what's going to hurt the movie by removing it. So the quality, you know, and what drives the movie. So I think it's nice now that you know, they can come out with versions that are longer, you know, because the fans want them, you know. And I think that's really cool because you get to see a lot of stuff that you would never see otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm behind it 100%. I hope it is released.
Yeah, me either.
Yes, talking about, you know, deleted stuff, Zack Snyder's Justice League was amazing. It was really, really incredible. All your work in it was fantastic. The fight stuff with the parademons was amazing. I wanted to ask you something about one scene that didn't make the cut, but it's a little unclear if it wasn't even shot or if it just went the previous stuff, the previous, you know, treatment. There was a concept art that came out with the Batman looking at a parademon nest. I think it was during the first Justice League Steppenwolf meeting, let's say. Did you get to do the previews for that scene? Was it something that you worked on, or was it just you know, a concept art that was deleted early on?
Are you talking about the previews that was released online? Yeah. I worked on that. That was actually a concept. So when you're doing stunts on a movie and you're designing action, you come up with concept ideas, you know, and then we shoot them, we do previews of them, and then the director either feels like it works for the movie or it doesn't work for the movie, or they have time to do it or they don't have time to do it, you know. So that was a concept idea we had, which was never shot in the movie. It was never shot. So it was the only thing that was done with that was the previs. So that had, you know, it just didn't make the movie. It just didn't, you know, never got shot. But it was a cool little scene. It would have been nice to see it, you know.
Yeah, the connection cut a bit, so I just listened to everything. But yeah, I see. Thank you for, you know, clearing this up, because it was a bit of an argument online about whether it was shot. It was just, you know, a concept, just the previews.
Yeah. Unfortunately, just the concept.
But it was nice to see it in that little video that we saw.
Yeah, it's cool to see that, like, behind the scenes stuff. You know, it's I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sir, how has changed the stunt world in the years? You know, now we have the CGI, and before it's only body, it's only the man who fight, crash table. It's changing these years.
Yeah.
Is more easy or or not?
CGI has made it easier to be a stunt performer in the way of it does a lot to save the stunt performer's body. We can now sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we can put pads on the ground and they can just erase them in CG, you know, so that has helped tremendously. It's made the industry safer. Now you're not going to have as many gags as you once did, right? So the people that specialize in high falls aren't going to get as much work as they once did. But, you know, overall, it hasn't taken away as much as we thought it was, because this was always a concern in the stunt industry when CGI was getting more prevalent. You know, people were concerned that, you know, wow, how much work is this going to take away from us? Are they even going to need stunt performers someday? You know, but it really hasn't changed it to the point where it's a lot less work. We still have plenty of work out there. I think it's mostly changed it in a way that it's mostly made it safer. I think we have more longevity because of it. You know, we can be stunt performers longer than you know, in one days back in the, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, where those guys, they didn't have any CG. There was, you know, you're hitting the ground, you know, no matter what, you know, and you're doing high falls, you're doing high risk maneuvers that people would die sometimes that now you don't have to do them because of CG. So I think overall, as much as we were concerned it was going to be a bad thing, I think overall it's turned out to be a good thing.
Okay.
There is a role that you are more in love of, a role that you play during your career.
Well, it would definitely be Batman.
Yeah,
that was my you know, growing up, I was a big comic book kid, you know, and to this day I still buy graphic novels. I loved DC Universe. I loved the Marvel Universe. I love superheroes, and Batman was my favorite superhero. I grew up on the Adam West show.
Yeah.
Right? You know, that was my first, yeah, that was my first Batman. You know, so and when I got into stunts, it was always a dream of mine to play that character. You know, and I just always thought that I always thought that I could do it well. It's just something that, because I love Batman so much, I watched so much Batman. I watched all the animated movies, the cartoons. I knew the character so well, and I have martial arts ability. I just felt like, oh, this is something I could really, you know, really cool if I ever got the chance.
Yeah.
So for sure, that would be my favorite. Would be Batman.
Considering that Batman, you got a chance to play Batman most of the times directed by Zack Snyder. How was it to how is it to work with a director like him?
Wow, I mean, it's
like Zack.
It's I mean, he's by far my favorite director to work for. I mean, he's my friend, but even if he wasn't, you know, he's by far my favorite. He understands the process. He gets it, that, you know, that we're all very fortunate to be doing what we're doing. So he makes his sets very comfortable. He's a great leader. You know, when you walk onto a set, and if people are walking around on eggshells and nervous and, you know, snapping at each other, you can pretty much bet that it's coming from the director. Because whatever he does, it filters its way down to every other department, right? So that you get none of that with Zack. Zack is just, he loves the process of movie making. Like every day he enjoys everything that he's doing, you know, and that is contagious. And that's why you'll see so many of these actors and crew members that have been interviewed, how they love the guy so much, and they would rather work with him than anyone else, because he has this environment that is just a joy to work with, and you know, that's a big part of what we do. We all love what we do. You know, no one wants to come to work and dread it. You know, no one wants to come to work and, oh God, I got to work with this guy again. And so he's just an amazing person. He's a very, very deep person. With his movies, you can always count there's going to be layers to it, right? Because he's very deep. He thinks out everything that you see on the screen. He's thought out, you know, looked at it from several different ways. So I just love working with the guy. And you know, anytime I get a job, he's my first choice. I've been really fortunate. I had a chance to work on Suicide Squad 2, because the Aussie team that did the first one, I got a chance to work with those guys, and I worked with them again on Triple Frontier. The stunt coordinator is a great guy. The team's a great guy. They called me to do Suicide Squad 2, but then Zack called me to do Army of the Dead. So it's like, I would love to do Suicide Squad 2, but I'm always going to choose Zack, you know. And same thing, I got a chance to be a Predator one time, and that's like, I love that character, right? I love the Predators, and I guess it was a shorter Predator because I'm only 6'3", and they're usually like 6'7". But I had a chance, and I was doing a Zack movie, so I had to pass on it. So, you know, I'll always choose Zack every time. He's by far my favorite director.
it's interesting to see to think that both you and Mr. Bautista were offered to work on Suicide Squad 2, but went to work on Army of the Dead. It's both the main character and the villain of a movie went through the same experience. It's really interesting.
That is interesting.
Oh yeah, yes, Zack is amazing. He's an inspiration also for a young guys. So
For sure.
my
Oh,
inspiration-
nice. That's a good one. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that guy.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I have no question in this moment. Fra?
Yes, I have a question. How do you prepare physically and psychologically when you do a stunt?
That's a good question. Physically, it depends on what the stunt is, right? But I always keep myself in good physical shape. Like for the movie 300, all of us got probably in the best shape of our lives, right? So I'm not exactly in that shape, but I'm never far from it. So if I need to get in that shape, I could get in that shape in like a month, right? So I'm never too far from that shape. So I always stay in good shape. So that's important. Psychologically, it's really important to have good concentration, right? To have a good attention to detail. All these things I think are very important in any career you do, because when you're doing a stunt, like people have asked me before, were you afraid, when you did this particular stunt or that stunt? And the lead up to it is where you think about it, right? And if you have any fear, that's where you feel it. But when you're getting ready to do it and you're in the moment, that should never enter your mind. You have to concentrate and have laser sharp focus on what you're doing. And that's all that matters. You go over everything in your head that you need to be doing in the next 5 seconds. And you're just concentrating on making each of those things is clean and good as possible. So like stuff like, fear or worry about that doesn't enter at all.
Yeah.
So I think for a stunt performer, like I meditate, right? I think for a stunt performer, I think it's a very useful tool, because being mentally strong is, I think, really important. I think sometimes accidents happen because of a lack of focus, right? That'll happen sometimes. So I think being able to focus, on what you're doing, is super important.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Well, talking about, since we're getting close to the end of the interview, which future projects that you did that are coming out in these next few months, can you tease which movies coming out? Can you talk about where you're starting?
I can't say too much about them. They have assigned these NDAs.
It's understandable.
But I did a David Leitch movie that's going to be coming out with Brad Pitt. I think it's going to be a really good movie. I did a Star Wars project. Mm-hmm. That I'm not sure, sometime maybe later in the year might be coming out. I did a TV show, but yeah, there's a few things to look forward to, but unfortunately, I can't say too much about them.
Absolutely. This thesis can really hype us up. So thank you so much. And
sure, no problem.
Since we already teased it at the beginning, do you have Italian origins by any chance? Because, Cetrone is Cetrone in Italy. It's a really Italian surname.
Yeah. I didn't realize how popular that name was, because in the United States, there's not a lot you know, but in Italy, I was like, wow, because I was looking at the phone book, because I spent some time in Rome. Me and my son went to Rome while I was working on Justice League, you know, and I loved it, by the way. It you know, it's really interesting because it brought back, just being in that environment brought back memories of my grandfather, you know, and stuff, you know, spending time in his house, and it was really cool. But yeah, I think I did, you know, I did the 23andMe thing.
Yeah.
So I'm more Italian than anything else. I think I'm like 28, 29% Italian, something like that. And then, you know, other things thrown in there. So yeah, I'm more Italian than anything. But, yeah.
It's an honor. It's really, really an honor.
Compaesani.
Yeah, exactly.
Paesani. No, devo provare a fare il gesto italiano.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have to try this.
You speak Italian a little bit.
Wish. You know, I wish I would have learned. My grandfather, of course, you know, spoke it, but I never learned. I wish I would have. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Davide, Francesco, do you have any other questions?
No.
I have a question that you always you been answered to Max, but I want to do. You can say no. You can say what do you want. In these days in London, there is shot a movie called The Flash, and it's public that Mr. Ben Affleck will appear maybe for the last time in the role of Batman. Maybe you are involved. Maybe you decide.
You can say.
Maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
I can tell you, I'm not involved in that movie. I honestly don't know what Ben's doing in it. I just saw him a couple weeks ago, and he didn't even mention it. So I don't know if I don't think he's doing a whole lot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
My thoughts are he's either not really doing much action, or they're just going to have, or there's only one or two things, so they're just going to have a UK guy.
Yeah.
Do his action. That's you know, it's one of those two things. But yeah, so I don't really know.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
And thank you so much for this chat, this interview. You were so amazing and so kind to answer to all of our questions. So really thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
In Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure meeting you guys, and thanks for having me on the show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
So,
Thank you so much.
have a nice evening or nice day. What time is it where you are now?
Almost 2 p.m.
2 p.m. So
Okay.
nice
Almost.
afternoon.
Yeah.
What time is it there?
Nice.
Almost 11 p.m.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We are going to bed now.
Yeah.
Good
All
to
right,
sleep.
fellas.
Hi, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Same.